Hello, everybody. I am Mr. Saturday, and I hope you are having a beautiful, wonderful day. My day is going fantastic. We do have a few updates to the world. I have been working nonstop, other than, when I have to take a break for real life things that I've been doing. This past weekend has been pretty busy, if I do say so. But I do have this. We do have the landscaping done in front of the library, which came together really well. All of these cliffs got custom made, and I added in some of we have the green wool as moss, and then we have some of the soul stand is like regular dirt and stuff. I even went ahead and built that up just a hair. We even got this staircase in so we can easily get down there and access it if we wanted to. A couple of other things is I went ahead and found a cool tree that I might use for our custom birch forest, like our custom dark oak forest. So we now have the dark oak trees and we have the birch ones. So I got to build a couple of these dark oak ones in there to kind of blend them in. But yeah, we went with the yellow wool. I think that's pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. I like the yellow leaves. I think that could look really cool in the distance. We'll have a few more of these thinner ones kind of building up to the bigger trees. And then maybe we'll build some like smaller dark oak trees kind of like in and about somewhere to kind of gradually build up the forest. I have been doing that a lot with the back of the castle. We even have some custom pine trees now, the bigger ones, which I cannot wait to get done. You can see I have a big pillar just kind of standing out right there. We're going to decorate it like this. We see we get a little zoom in. You can kind of see the pine trees. We'll get some more added in right in here. And then I want to take these little thin guys and kind of wrap them around. Like the forest starts off thin and then grows into a bigger forest, which I think would be really, really cool. Another update we need to check out is the inside of the library, which is pretty cool. Um, so I think when we left off with this room being done and that room not being dug out yet. So if we go in here, we have the full extent of the library being built on the back side, and we have this cool table with a set of cool chairs. Now, what makes these chairs different or unique is that you actually can't do this in beta. Like, you can't place trapdoors wherever you want to. They have to be alongside of a block like that, and it doesn't count if it's a slab like this. So you can't place it like that. So how did I do this? So how this is done, like let's say we want a chair out here, right? We want to build us a cool little beach chair. And we want it to have a back. So we have this guy right here. This is where they lay down, but it's kind of missing like the little headrest area, right? So we're next to the place that we want our trap door to be. We're going to place some kind of temporary block, and we're going to place our trap door up against the temporary block. Now, facing the trapdoor, we want to place a piston right beside it. And this could be in any direction depending on how you want to push the trapdoor into place. What we're going to do is behind the piston, we're going to leave a 1 block gap, placing a dirt block or any other temporary block. And this could be also in any direction. So if we were pushing something down, you can have it down. If you were pushing something to the side, you'll have to mess with it and, tweak it on how you want to move things. But for right now, this is what we're doing. On top of the dirt block or this side of the dirt block, anywhere but this face, you could place a lever. What you do after you place the lever is turn it on, making sure that block is powered. Next, we want to take our torch, and on the face of the block that is facing the piston, we want to go ahead and place our torch. So what happens here is that this powered block causes the torch to burn out quickly, activating the piston, causing it to retract immediately, but also moving our little trap door. Now we have our headrest to our little beach chair. So that's how that works. And I think it was Mayan 1001 who taught me this trick. And I am really glad that I could share it with all of you. So you now know from now on, how to move these trapdoors into cool places. You can also do this with other things as well. So if we wanted, let's say we wanted a table, because a table is another one of those things, you can't place a trapdoor on that. So we're going to get a block right where we need it to be. And we're going to place our trapdoor. We'll go ahead and pick up our piston and all the stuff that we're going to need. You know, all of our temporary blocks and everything. And this will be a little tricky because it's up in the air, but at the same time, it's not that bad. We're just going to place our block here, have the piston ready to go. Again, one block away from the piston. We can stick the lever on this side for now. And this might actually update that trapdoor and break it. These guys will break with some kind of update to them. So you can mess with them as much as you want to. But I think if you do something like that, right, where it's a redstone torch or any kind of update that was about to happen with the lever, it would break it off. So you got to be really careful on what you place around them. But we could go ahead and do this, causing it to burn out, and blam, we have us our table that is super easy to build in modern, but we have to do a little trickery to do in beta. Now, besides showing y'all how to do funny business with trapdoors to get the, decorations you want, I do actually have plans for a build today. And I want to build a wizard tower here that is crooked. I want to play with something other than like straight lines like we have been here, or, slight indentions like we've done in other places. I actually want to make this guy crooked. I don't want him to go straight up and down. And he is going to be built in the same block palette as our mob farm castle here because it belongs to that. What the purpose of this wizard tower is for is I'm going to build a bridge that goes from the tower to the castle. That way we have another way of getting in the castle if we want to. And, besides going up and down this ladder and saying hello to Dave every time, we can actually walk up and around our new pathway and go inside of our tower to go in the castle. You can see more of the trapdoors here. I did play with the trapdoors to build like a little fence design. This is not by any means going to stay. I'm just working out different types of ways that I could build a fence, and that is one of them. I might tear this down to build something cooler later, but I think it's fine for right now. What I do want to work on though is let's get this tower going. Okay, so on me I got my block palette that we're going to use, and I got it lined up in the colors that we're going to use them. So it's going to be cobblestone to stone to light gray to white wool to snow, just like how the castle is. I have it kind of marked out in dirt about the direction that this is going to head into. It might be tweaked a little bit depending on how it looks when I go back to the bridge. If you don't notice, most of this base is based off how it looks from the bridge, and I think that's pretty cool. So if it starts to look kind of goofy and it's not, bending right or how I imagined it, I will tear it back down a little bit and redo it just so I could get it the right way. So a lot of this circle was just kind of mapped out. It is going to be in a bit of a circular shape, which is different from the castle itself. The castle is, layers of squares and rectangles. So this is going to be a little bit unique. And I do got to tear all of this out, unfortunately, because I kind of just threw up the circle really fast. I didn't really care about what blocks I was using when I was building it. So we're going to go ahead and replace all these with cobblestone just to have it nice and neat and ready to go for when we go to stack up on our layers. There we go. So it looks like for the most part I went 1, 2, 3, 4, anywhere from 4 to about 6 in most layers. There are a couple of layers that are a bit taller, but those are for the building bits that are a bit taller themselves. So we're probably going to stick with the rule of thumb anywhere from 4 to 7 just to kind of make it match the rest of the tower. So sticking with that rule of thumb, I went ahead and built up the base, right, with the cobblestone. We have some that are, as the full length of the 6 or 7, and then we have some that are 4s and then 3s and then so on and so forth. But none of them really go less than 3. And that's how we're going to kind of make this look like it's going to blend in a little bit. Now, this is a very bare bones blending, just like the castle is. You do it this way so it looks a little bit better from distance. This right now kind of looks weird up close, but it looks good up close too. Now, you can do an over blending method that, looks extremely good far away, but it looks like you threw up a bunch of blocks when you're up close, and I do not like it. I do not like the overuse of blending, right? I don't like builds that look like somebody threw up a bunch of blocks onto a palette and it's just overly done. Because that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. It looks like block throw up, where you could just get away with simple blending and it does it justice. It's just fine the way it is. And that's what we're going to go for, and that's what most of these builds go for. Instead of just over blending, we do just enough to make it look good up close and far away. We don't want it to look good far away, and then once we get up close, it just looks wonky, and vice versa. We don't want it to look good up close, but then when we get far away, it looks like crap. I'm trying to go for a healthy middle, and that's what we're trying to achieve here. Now, when it comes to the stone is in the same number spectrum as the cobblestone. I didn't go too much into it. You can see that the light gray wool and this white wool have a little bit less to contribute because we're trying to blend it into white. But the cobblestone and stone, they're about the same. So we're gonna do about the same amount of layering, other than the fact that it's gonna have a bend to it, because this is where we're gonna start to have our first bend. This is where we get to go down to the railway and look to see how our tower is going. All right, so now we're starting to have our bend a little bit. And this is the tricky part in beta because we don't have upside down staircases to kind of help with this method. Now we do have right side up staircases, which we could apply to the back here, but we only really have those in cobblestone. We don't have those in any other color other than cobblestone and wood. And I think, yeah, that's about it. We only got sandstone stairs, so I can't really do it out of sandstone either. So this is the tricky part on how we're gonna make this bend look more like a look more like a bend without messing the shape up. And this comes with, it's hard to explain the method, and I'm going to demonstrate it right here in wool. So the little parts that we have coming down that are hanging, right? We're going to have them hang down in different sizes. So we'll have one that might have two, one that hangs down in one, and if we want to add one that hangs down in three, right? So we'll have it like 3, 2, 1. We're going to do something like this to kind of break up the way that it is bending. So pretend there's like, this is the underneath part and all of this is hanging down, right? We're going to have to apply something in this nature to kind of give it a gradual look towards its bending and make it not look so squared, like it just, somebody took a good kick to it that way and it shimmied everything over. And that's how we're going to have to do it. So we're going to come off the bottoms of these and kind of give them a couple of extra blocks, maybe one, maybe two, depending on certain areas, to kind of break up that really hard line right there. All right, so just as an example, and maybe this looks a little bit better, about like this, right? Where some of them go further down, some of them go further up, and we did it a little bit in the back as well. And then the tower is going to continue right here where this dirt is on upwards, right? So we'll have the tower continue on a little bit up from there, and then it's going to have one more bend going forth. I only want this to bend like slightly. I only want it to be slightly kind of wonky. And then we'll play around with like some finer details later. Like maybe we'll break some of these up and they will be slabs and stairs in the back to kind of get rid of some of the bulkiness on that end. And we could even play with some details. Maybe there's some kind of support here or some bits that have crumbled away to make it thicker on that side as well. And, stuff like that. But for right now, we're trying to nail the shape. And this is a pretty good way of nailing the shape, at least in beta. Like if we had all the stairs and slabs in the world like we do in modern version, we'd be able to knock this out no problem. But, we got to play with our imagination and play with some of the blocks we have going on to achieve this. Now, we get to start into the light gray portion of this build now, which is going to be really cool. So the light gray itself is in a 3 block from the last stone block from where it's at. So if you count most of these, you have the 1, 2, and 3. You have 1, 2, and 3 there. And it goes like that for most of all of this. I think actually it goes for all of it. I went with the 3 block method on every last bit of it. So that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna do 3 blocks of light gray wool, which should get us to our next bend in the tower. And then we're gonna go on to the white. Now the white is 3s and 4s, if I remember right. Like some of these is that is a 3. That looked like a 4, but it's a 3. Or I might have went with the 3 method here as well, to be honest with you, which is, it's not bad, but it's not great either. When it comes to the white, because we're mixing into the snow, let's get a good look over. Maybe we can't get a good look there. But when it comes to the snow, right, you want to do different methods and going with 3s and 4s, kind of like how we did on the church. This was kind of like the first time I was playing with blending these colors, so there is going to be some bad examples in there, and there's going to be some good ones as well. This is the first build I've done in beta where I've tried this blending style out. But regardless, the gray we're going to go with 3s, the whites we're going to go with 3 and 4s until we finish it off with the snow. So the whitest color block, we're going to finish it off with that to round up its look. And there we go. I went ahead and added in the light gray and the white. We're getting to the point now where we can finish it off with the snow on the rest of its height. There is going to be a little bit of playing around that needs to be done. But other than that, other than the small bits that need to be played with and, rounding out, I'm starting to see the shape that this is taking. This is taking some really good shape to it. I'm even thinking about adding some more detail to the back later, which could be really cool and add to the whole, benefactor of why it stands the way it does. And maybe some little bits of detail on the front. Maybe we can make this cliff out a bit more. Make this guy just a little bit sharper. I got to play around, see what I can do. But yeah, the tower is almost there, and it's starting to look really cool. It's definitely something unique. I feel like I don't see a lot of towers that bend in beta that are like crooked, right? And you can tell that there's something wrong with this tower as you're pulling up to it, right? So if we were riding our minecart, you could tell that that tower is not centered and that there is something off about its shape as we're pulling up on a minecart. And that's what I'm going for. There's, that lean factor. And then as you pull up and your eyes are fixated on it, let's say you wanted to look at the tower more than anything, that crookedness is going to stand out a lot. And I cannot wait to get the rest of it up. Now, as for the top of the tower, since it belongs to the castle, I feel like I'm going to make it look like the castle's tower. So the towers in the castle, they have a little bit that bulges out, has a little window structure, and then it has this crown. I like to call it my crown. It looks like my castle is just filled with a bunch of kings. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have it come up. We're going to have a little part that bulges out, and then we're going to give it a little crown, dedicating it as like a king tower, the king solo tower or something. Yeah, I think that could be pretty neat. The blending is looking amazing. We have the grays and whites blended in real nice up there, along with this the stone going into the gray and the cobblestone going into the stone, which, to be honest with you, I think the tower's it's blended a lot better than the actual castle is itself. So I am getting better at figuring this technique out in beta, and I can't wait to apply it to other stuff. I'm trying to break it down to simple numbers. That way, once I do get it figured out, I could teach, you guys on how to do this kind of stuff. And I like to break things down in numbers and steps, kind of like I used to do my redstone back in the day. So once I get this figured out and how it, I can line up numbers with it, it's on like Donkey Kong. I'll be teaching y'all how to do this so y'all could have really cool builds in beta as well. Now, I am not going to lie. The head of that is not what I was going for, but it's extremely cool and I'm going to keep it. So what happened is as I'm trying to break up a lot of the straight lines that you see to kind of give it some diagonals and make it not look so uniformed, I attempted to do that to the head. So it started off as one of these, like how I had it, but since it was a circular shape, it came out kind of weird looking, right? See, the rectangle ones, they're actually flat on the sides. right? They still line up with the side walls for most of them. So when it came down to the circular one, it just was not looking right in any direction that I was placing it in. And then when I built it into a circle, it it didn't match that as well either. But the shape that it does have, I'm not gonna lie, I actually like that shape. The only things that I would change is some of the straight line details. Like you have an extremely long line here that I would probably break up by bringing this guy just a little bit further to about here, and that would get rid of that line. As for the most part, the rest of this is doing pretty good. I think it's just the corners where I see a lot of the really long straight lines, which is an easy fix. It's just pillaring back up there with dirt and placing a couple of snow blocks to about the bottomish of the window to break up that line. I can make the windows longer if I wanted to. I do have a couple extra blocks to play with right in there, so I could have some longer windows. I ran out of the regular blue wool that I used there, so I used the little bits of cyan wool that I have as temporary blocks until I go mining for more lapis. I am out of lapis, and I broke my diamond shovel getting rid of my dirt scaffolding, so that was great. I'm gonna have to make another diamond shovel when I get the chance. But the shape of that roof, just the fatness of that part of the tower looks really cool. It does make me want to try to play with the blending of the lines a little bit more right here in the back. Like I might want to bring some of these blocks up just a hair to kind of support the thickness of that roof. This side's fine. I could deal with this side, but the back for some reason is a little weird. So we will play with the back a little bit. Next, I want to map out some sort of bridge. So I know by the looks of it, the bridge is going to come somewhere in between these two towers. We have this really short tower and this really skinny tower. These are not really anything other. The main importance is this big tower, but we got to find a way into this thick boy right here, and that's going to be fun to figure out. Let's go ahead and get us a new shovel. There we go. I take that back. It looks like we are pretty in line with that big tower. We do see this shorter tower does have a door there. It's a fake door. There's nothing there. I forgot to put a door in, but it does look like it comes into line with that. Maybe we try to play with that a little bit. Maybe not make the bridge start up there, but maybe make it start a little bit lower so we can find some way to conjoin it. That is going to be something that I'm going to have to play with quite a bit to figure out and get a shape for. Okay, so that's going to be pretty cool. That is the shape that we are going for. It's a bit bent. You know, it's not perfectly straight anymore. And that shape took a little while to measure out because it does come into the corner of that fat tower a little bit. So we're going to have to play with that corner. Maybe there's going to be like a diagonal entrance to the bridge right there. Or I can just change this tower up a bit. But yeah, I'm liking the way this looks. It does come in the lower end of this tower, which could be kind of cool. We get to play around with a few of the gray blocks. Maybe we find out some way of making legs for it. I don't know if I want full legs. We're gonna play with something that I think is pretty cool and that I've seen in another video game, such as Elden Ring, where there is just a hanging bridge and all of the legs are broke. So I think that would be pretty cool. I think there's like just a bunch of broken legs hanging down, and really the only thing that's holding it together is this castle and that tower, and the weight of the bridge just dangling there is what pulled the tower to be crooked in the first place. So that could be pretty cool. That's what we're gonna roll with. So this is pretty cool. I got the wood part of the bridge put in. It's about 3 wide. We have a combination of planks and slabs, and I kind of made the middle slab stretch out a bit more, which I think is pretty cool. It leads me to think that the bridge is sagging a bit more on the sides than it is the middle, which could be, due to some kind of support that we have right there, or, just a numerous of different things. Now, this is where it comes out on this tower. Now, now that we're over here and we can actually stand on this, I might have to widen this bit out just a little bit, which is okay. It's not that big of a deal. or add some kind of support structure that, supports this side of the bridge coming out to right here. But it also leads to these little doorways I have to either side of the wall that leads to my bedroom. So there's where I put my bed when I'm, get done AFKing and sleeping. There's the rest of the tower that we could play with. So we could definitely make some rooms in here and then have like a ladder, not a ladder, but a staircase that goes down and everything. So that's going to be really fun when we ever, when we make it to that. For right now, we do have this bit of structure. And due to the blending, part of this bridge is going to be a combination of gray and white on this end and mostly gray on this end. And I could make it work, I think. We could play around with it, make it work. We're now to the fun hard part of trying to get this to look right from that bridge. So this is going to be great. This is going to be a little cool and give me a headache to figure out, but I'm going to love it once I do. This shape took a while to figure out, and I think I got it nailed down. I might make this a little bit thicker. I don't know. I'm going to let it set with me for a while. I think the middle needs just a little more meat on it. But other than that, I'm kind of pleased with it. I think that's pretty cool. The legs, I might be able to do something with the legs a little more once I figure out the thickness of the middle. But that is just coming together pretty good. Like you could tell that is a very ruined bridge. Almost just completely morphed through the tower. It almost looks like one piece with how it's constructed, and I kind of like how that came out. Um, yeah, now we just have a whole nother way to get into the castle if we want to, and I think that's really cool. Something similar to this might be a good idea if y'all are building castles of y'all's own, and y'all are kind of like following along doing the random stuff that we're doing. Is I could imagine this being like a satellite tower, towers outside the castle in multiple different directions, like having an island over here with another tower connecting up to this bit, and maybe like one in the back, and it just be on like these really spiky type of islands, which I still got to work on this bit of the island, give it a little bit of a cliff side like I did here, bring it on around. I think that would look really cool. And then, if you had more islands, like let's say chop this guy down, but bring him a little bit closer and then do the same, that could look really cool for a base. I might not do that. I might just leave mine the way it is because I like it. But, there's an idea if you need one. I think that could be really cool as an idea. Um, which the bridge is going to silhouette that forest a little more. So if we come this way, you know how we were talking about making the forest get bigger in the background as it goes? That is what's going to draw it in. That bridge is going to be like a little window where you're going to be able to see that forest in the background and just be like, okay, there's something cool over there. Or, there's like a cool forest over there, and I really have to go check that out when I make my way over there. And that's what we're going to do. I do want to do something similar in this area, like creating a little window that just kind of makes you focus on this forest a bit and the church, which we'll get there. I think I'm going to be spending some time in this area next just to kind of bring it in a little bit more, along with finishing the forest behind the castle, so that way its silhouette in the back could be done. But for right now, that's all I have time for in today's episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I have. I really enjoyed coming up with this tower and kind of seeing how the top bit came out. That is still my favorite bit of the tower, even though it wasn't originally intentional. I'm slowly loving the idea of the bridge. Like I said, there could be a little more girth in the middle, thickening it up a bit. Maybe we could add some of the broken legs and debris on the bottom right here to really tie it in that it broke from there. But for the most part, I'm really loving all of this and how it's coming together. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.